class, and then it's going to be posted to YouTube. So if you ever need any of the classes, we will put them on YouTube. This class is being recorded. This is Cesar Aviles. This is just for training purpose and conversation. We don't offer no legal advice. This is for the benefit of all Coldwell Banker George Realty agents. And today I'm gonna be talking about a couple of things. I'm gonna be comparing a couple of forms on a way to the way that real estate people make money, especially the way Coldwell Banker George Realty agents make money. I'm gonna be sharing my screen. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna mute everybody, and then you would have the right to unmute yourself if you wanted to ask a question or say something. So I am going to go and share my screen, and I am going to go to first, I'll go to a brand new tab on my internet, and I am going to go to www.zipformplus.com. Okay, this is the way to get in to the broker version of Coldwell Banker CAR broker version of zip forms. We pay money to have this and be able to have set up our company templates and things of that nature. And that's the biggest benefit, that we would have the templates with the required documentation. As you probably know, the templates are like a menu, but it's a smaller menu than just having the entire all the forms, all the library from CAR. So I'm going to the transactions. I hope that people are seeing my screen. If for any reason you cannot see that it's right now blue and going to the internet, perfect. I land on my transactions. By the way, guys, if you want to just land over here and play, use all the tabs that you have here. It will help you manage yourself. If you wanted to, look at this one. I have these tiles. These ones are my transactions. I constantly am erasing them. But if you don't like the way my screen looks, you could always come to the right corner and click, and it will be list them like this. Some of you might have them in a list, and that's okay. You will have them in a list, and then you can go down each one of your transactions. I don't like them this way, so I go tile, and that way I can see all my transactions. But anyway, I am gonna go to a brand new transaction, which is what's important today. I am going to open up a new transaction. I go to the plus, new transaction. It is gonna be a listing. Today we're comparing listings, but I'm gonna tell you about 3 ways to earn money. So this one, the name, I usually, instead of putting the name of the seller, I always like to put the property address, okay? So
don't see your screen.
You cannot see the screen?
I see, but nothing there.
Okay, let me just stop sharing, and then let me go back to sharing again.
It started okay, but then went away.
Can you see that part?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I go here, I will go to my new transaction. It's gonna be a new listing. Can you follow me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the address. It is a residential. We teach residential. You guys are supposed to, once you know how to ride on your little bicycle, on your little car, you're supposed to get into the station wagon and move on a bigger car. I mean, I'm teaching you the Toyota, but then if you wanted to go to your, Mercedes Benz, it's up to you. But we teach the residential, but then there's commercial transactions, vacant lot. All of those transactions are pretty similar in the way that we like to teach, but residential real estate is what we sell the most. So it is a residential transaction. I'm always clip it as an active transaction. I am the agent, and here is the kicker. This is the most important thing. When you open your transaction, it says my templates, and this is where you click on the drop-down menu, and you will find all of the office templates. You're gonna find the company templates right here, and you're gonna be looking at which one you're gonna apply to this transaction. What kind of menu? Are you gonna be at a Chinese restaurant? You're gonna go to a Mexican restaurant? You're gonna go to a French restaurant? What kind of restaurant you wanna eat? And this one, I like to eat at the residential listing restaurant, the CBGR residential listing. And I click there, and then I'm gonna apply that to that transaction. When I put save, it opens up my transactions, and right here, it's applying all of that menu, all of that template into my transaction, okay? Uh, and I'm landing on my transaction right here. It also gives it a transaction identification number. This transaction is gonna be saved at CAR until November 13 of 2027. So it's 7 years of storage if you do not delete it. If you delete it, that's it, no problem, right? So this transaction, it's an active transaction. I am going to go into the parties. Who is involved in the transaction? Of course, I am the listing agent. I am on the seller side. So I always like to come over here and click the seller side so I don't get confused, right? If you put all, it's gonna give you home warranties and escrows and other. If you put here on service providers, it comes up with all of those service providers. Some of these service providers, they pay CAR to be here, but I want to be just on the sell side. So I'm going to make sure that all my information is correct. I'm going to view my name, my address, my phone number, my email. Of course, I already have this before, so I already have it in my drop-down menu. My license, again, my license, my email. The more information that you put into this, the more of this is going to populate to your transaction, right? So my phone number, my business fax. I work for Coldwell Banker George Realty. Our license is 011211690. You should know that. You should put that on all your purchase agreements. Broker phone. I'm not going to put Peter's cell phone number so they don't bug him at 3 o'clock in the morning when I have problems on my transaction. But I will say save. So my information, it's already there. Next, I'm going to go to the seller number one. Okay, seller number one is Sally, and her last name is Seller, right? And then I'm gonna put Sally's email, whatever, sallylisting.com, and I'm gonna put 555, the phone number for Sally, and then I'm gonna put, the most important thing is the email, because each individual client should have a different email, because that's what you're gonna be using for digital signature, okay? Now, in this screen, if for any reason you're selling a property that is owned by a corporation, if you're selling a property that is a probate, if you're selling a property that an entity, an LLC, you will put here the name of that LLC, the name of the trust, anything else, and then here the signing representative. This is the personal, the person that is going to be signing physically that contract. If it is a power of attorney, here will be the seller's name, and over here will be the attorney in fact, the person actually signing on behalf of that that client. So we're gonna save it. Now I have myself as the listing agent, and I have Sally Seller. Today we're only having one seller, right? So the next thing that I'm going tab by tab by tab. So then I go to the document tab. And as I explained to you, all of these forms have been pre-selected by Coldwell Banker George Realty Management that are the ones that we're gonna use for our transaction. We picked this one from the entire list. If you wanted to come over here to your right of your screen and you see that it says all forms, this is an entire library. I mean, hundreds of forms that CAR have prepared to run California transactions. We already handpicked the ones that we believe are going to be used in our transaction. Now, this one is a menu. when you go to the restaurant, right? You go to the French restaurant and they're gonna sell you escargot and they're gonna sell you, rabbit, and they're gonna sell you duck, whatever it's gonna be. Sometimes your transaction does not require that you eat all of the appetizers and all of the entries. So you need to be the one deciding, do I use this form or not? Okay. It is required by Coldwell Banker George Realty that you use most of these forms, but you're not going to use them at the beginning. Okay. So for example, if you go to the bottom, if my transaction is in Rosemead, should I be using this one that says City of Los Angeles 9A report? The answer to that one is no. My listing is not on the City of Los Angeles. So I come over here and I say City of Los Angeles 9A report. I go to the right, I go to the drop-down menu and I say, delete this form. I'm not gonna be using. In other words, I'm not gonna be having escargot tonight, this morning. I am just going to go and have, a duck. Like, am I gonna be putting a sign to the property? There's a sign order form. Yes, I'm gonna be putting a sign. So I'm gonna grab the sign order form. I'm gonna print it. I'm gonna fill it in, and I'm gonna email it to my office listing secretary. If you wanted to have open house signs, right? You use this one. If you wanted to collect the names of the people that go to the open house, but because of coronavirus, open houses are against the law in the state of, in the Los Angeles County. The governor issued that order. We cannot do open houses legally. So I'm gonna remove that open house signing sheet from this transaction right now. I don't need it, so I'm gonna delete it. So you understand that you are in control. Doesn't mean that because it's right here, you have to eat it. Doesn't know that it's because it's in the menu, you have to have, a salad and a soup and an appetizer and your entree and your dessert and a soda and an alcoholic beverages. You decide not to, so then you don't drink it. So we're gonna start on the beginning. I'm not gonna go to all the forms, but I wanted to go to the listing agreement. And I'm gonna show you that listing agreement. I'm gonna put it on full screen. Once you click on the listing agreement, there's gonna be about 5 forms that are attached to this listing agreement. I've always explained the same thing. The listing agreement, the contract is like the tree, and then all of the disclosures are like branches attached to the tree. And sometimes we have a form that does not apply, then we just cut the branch from our agreement. So we have the disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. You cannot get away with it. It's civil code. Whenever you see the word civil code, it is by law. The state of California requires that every agent talking to a buyer, every agent talking to a seller must first disclose all the type of agencies. You can be the seller's agent, you can be the buyer's agent, or you can be both, right? And in order to be both, then you need to ask them, I am going to be both buyer and seller agent. So then they have to give you the consent. So there is another form that it goes into the transaction that is called consent. Okay, the next form that it comes up is just a brand new form. It's the Fair Housing and Discrimination Advisory, right? FHDA. It's already attached to the contract, and it has to go into our files. And this is something that reminds you, for you not to discriminate. And then it tells the consumer that if they feel discriminated based on any of these things, they give them the phone number, they give them what to call and accuse you of discrimination. So please make sure that you do not discriminate based on race, color, ancestry, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, marital status, familial status, source of income, disability, mental or physical, medical condition, citizenship, primary language, immigration status, military veteran status, age, criminal history, any arbitrary characteristics, right? So please do not because there is a big punishment on the law. Your license will be suspended. You will be subject to a fine. The Houses and Urban Development police this very seriously. They take it very seriously. And we are by now, we should know that the only color that we know is green, the color of money. If they have money, they qualify for the house, they buy it, okay? So this is a form that needs to be filled in, right? And they give them the phone numbers and the websites where they can go and file a complaint, right? So Sally will be signing that one. This is where we get the consent, right? A consent that we could be dual agency, right? Dual agency, right? And because we work for a large company, and because we do not know if Lori or Doug is writing up an offer, I don't know if they're writing up an offer on the same listing that I'm showing. So therefore, I'm going to say, hey, I'm not sure, but they could be competing buyers and sellers. And in this case right now, it's a seller's market. So there's a lot of competition, and people from Coldwell Banker George Realty, any of the three offices that will be working on this transaction, there is the potential that we become dual agents. So make sure that you get a signature from Sally indicating that there will be more than 2 or 3 sellers competing with her at Coldwell Banker George Realty. I don't know if there is another listing in Rosemead listed by the Coldwell Banker Company. So Coldwell Banker George Realty Company. So I'm gonna get this form. So this one also, we need to get the seller to sign the wire fraud and electronic funds. And it explains everything. Hey, Mr. Seller, be wary. Los Angeles is a capital of the fraud, and we want to make sure that you don't get a victim of fraud. So here's the FBI phone number if you wanted to learn more about electronic fraud. And since the escrow is going to be wiring your money once we close escrow, I want to make sure that you are aware that and protect yourself against wiring fraud and electronic fraud. Buyers, the same thing. You need to give this form to the buyer. So right here, I'm gonna kind of stop a little bit. I'm just gonna show you the residential listing agreement. It's an agreement between the owner of a property, a seller that is hiring you. It's hiring Coldwell Banker George Realty. The broker is hiring the broker through you to sell the property. And also when it's giving you that permission, it's giving you permissions to put a sign, to market the property, to put it on the internet, and then we try to get a buyer for your house, Mr. Seller. So that's one way to make money. We make a contract with the seller gives us permissions to market the property either way. On the internet, we put a sign, we do open houses, we do flyers, we do all the marketing possibilities. So this is one way to get money. I am going to go to another form just to show you what is another way that a real estate agent can earn money from either a buyer or a seller. So I'm gonna bring that form to the front. I'm gonna look for the form, and it's called commission agreement, okay? This form, that is a commission agreement. Let me go back to the forms, back to my list, and I go to the bottom. That's where I will find it. Let me make it big. This is an agreement to make money. This is the amount of rate of real estate commission is not fixed by law. They are set by each broker individually and may be negotiable between the seller, buyer, landlord, tenant, option or option E, principal, and broker. So in this case, the seller, the principal, gives the broker, agreed to pay the broker, meaning Coldwell Banker George Realty. This is us, Coldwell Banker George Realty, as compensation for services, irrespective of agency relationship. It doesn't matter whether you're the buyer's agent, whether you're the seller's agent, or you're representing both. The sum of, and we put a percentage, always we try to get, we love to get 6% on a transaction. Sometimes you might be only earning a different amount, but we love to get 6% of the transaction price. The property is located in Rosemead, and we put the dollar amount, you know, the property, the Rosemead, California, County of Los Angeles. So we put the Los Angeles here, the properties, and it tells you how am I earning my compensation, right? If I sell the property, I get paid, you know, not later than a certain day. So I put by December 31st. If I sell your property by December 31st, I get paid, right? Now, Of course, they're telling the seller that there is benefits in using an MLS, but if you're going to use the MLS, you would have to get a listing agreement, okay? The one way to earn commission is by the listing agreement, so we have the right to market the property. In this case, when we make a commission agreement, we're only telling, if I sell your house, I get paid. There is no permission to put it on the internet. There's no permission to put it on the MLS. There's no permission. You're dealing directly with somebody that does not want to list the property. This is just a commission agreement. A lot of the time, we, Coldwell Banker Church Realty, do not engage in this type of commission unless the transaction is almost done and they say, Caesar, what would you charge me? I said, I'll charge you 6% to put it together, to talk to the buyer, talk to the seller, assist you with all the information. You know, sometimes you may settle for 4%, 5%, you know, and so that is what it is. This is the form which is called a commission agreement, right? And then there is another form, right, that I'm going to bring into you, that I just wanted to bring it up to your attention in order to make money. And let me go to all the forms. I go to the entire, and the form is called single party compensation. Okay, this form is like, for example, the property has a for sale by owner sign in front of it, right? It has a for sale by owner sign, and you are talking to the seller, and the seller says, bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a commission. Well, we all know that real estate, everything must be in writing. So it's not like bring me a buyer. What about if you bring the buyer, you show the house, you walk away, the buyer is so excited, but the buyer tells you, let me think it over, right? And then you go your way, the buyer goes their way, and the buyer goes back to the house, and they're driving the neighborhood because they always do that. And they see that the seller is watering the lawn, and they wave at the seller, and they start talking together, and that buyer buys it. Goodbye commission. You don't make nothing. They get together, they go to escrow, and Caesar, no commission. So before I show the property, I'm going to sign this type of document with the seller of the property, and I'm going to name the name of my buyer into this transaction. Okay. So you are saying, hey, Mr. Seller, I am bringing a buyer to the transaction, and you're going to pay me property, right? You're going to pay me X amount of dollars, right? I like to get paid 6% always. I try 6% all the time. And then you put that, if the principal accepts an offer from, and I name my buyer, Betty. If Betty, that I am showing the property, buys the property, right? If Betty buyer buys this property, I get paid my 6%. Got it? So there are three ways to make money. One of them, if it's a for sale by owner that is selling his property by himself, that tells you, if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission. You use this form because it will specify the name of the buyer that you're bringing, okay? And the amount of commission that you verbally agree with that seller, because they usually tell you, hey, bring me a buyer and I'll pay you X%, right? Or bring me a buyer and I'll pay you. So this is the form that you need to have the seller sign. Let me give you a caveat. You still, even when you sign this form, you need to make sure that the fair housing and discriminatory form is, because it's attached to it, and that seller needs to sign that. Make sure that he does not discriminate against your buyer as well, okay? And also, before you sign this, you also have to sign an agency agreement, an agency disclosure, and then this form, and then the fair housing form, okay? Then you're gonna be writing up a purchase agreement, and you're gonna be writing up the, buyer's advisory, and you're gonna be writing all of the statewide buyers and sellers, what we did last week. Okay, so that is the three forms that we use to get paid. Okay, so let me go back to the listing agreement. Any questions on that? You can unmute yourself and questions.
Okay. You don't need to have the listing agreement on this one.
Well, correct. I mean, you have to have a listing agreement to make a deal with the seller that if you sell this property, if anybody buys it, it's an exclusive right. So if anybody buys the property between the time we list the house and the time that it expires, Caesar at Coldwell Banker George Realty gets paid. And then you give me permission to put a sign, to do open houses, to market the property, to put a website, to send electronic information. I'm gonna do all the marketing. I don't have a buyer. So he's giving me the opportunity to sell, market the property, and then I start fishing for buyers. The second one is you're at a party and you bump into a friend of yours and he says, Caesar, I want to sell my house to my neighbor. Can you handle the transaction? And you say, yes, you already got a buyer and a seller almost together, and you sign that commission agreement in order to have it in writing that if you're going to be doing the work of selling the doing the transaction. And the third way is a for sale by owner. So then you get the single party compensation that it protects you. That if the buyer goes around and talk to the seller directly, you already got the paper that says that if the seller sells the property to Sally, if Sally sells the property to Betty, which is your buyer, you get paid.
And so for these two, for the two last two, the single party and commission compensation, you don't need to have a listing agreement. You just Correct. Need to have this agreement. We said, yeah, okay.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. So that's where we are. So on every transaction, you need to have a disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. A lot of the people, some of the commercial agents, they say they're not because they're using an AIR form. Well, they're wrong. There is an AIR form called Disclosure Regarding Real Estate Agency Relationship, and it's part of the civil code in the entire state of California, from Eureka to the Mexican border, from the Pacific Ocean to, Nevada, right? You guys have to use this whenever you're talking to a client, a buyer or a seller. That form has to be given, and if you don't believe me, tonight, you read the entire civil code, okay? Right? The whole civil code, you'll read it before you watch the news. By the way, watching the news is not positive, okay? They only got negative stuff in the television. So don't watch TV, just focus on this one, right? Then I wanted to go and explain almost to the best of my ability, paraphrasing the listing agreement, right? So the listing agreement is a contract between a seller and a buyer. We are preparing that contract today, right? So we put the date, has to have a beginning date. And guys, I've seen a lot of listings agreement through my life, and they leave this blank. If you leave the ending date blank, you have no listing. So make sure that it has an ending date. It has to have a beginning date and an ending date to be valid, okay? So here we have today's day. Sally is the seller. Coldwell Banker George Realty is the broker. We begin today, or you can begin tomorrow, and you say, oh, it's the weekend. I want to begin on Monday. You can do that. Doesn't matter. This is the day that we're preparing the contract. This is the day that the listing agreement starts. The only problem is that tomorrow, the 14th, the seller can sell the house, right? They say, oh, we're going to be listing with Coldwell Banker George Realty. And then this guy comes up and say, why? I like to buy your house right now and we can save the commission. That seller can sell it without you getting paid. Ouch. Because the listing agreement starts November 16. And ends. Usually, we love to get 6 months listings. I know that it's very hard to do so in today's day because it doesn't give that you have the confidence. So I'm seeing people do the minimum that Coldwell Banker George Realty, it's probably maybe not written, but it is 3 months, 90 days, because the company will spend money in advertising. The company will send it to coldwellbanker.com. The company will issue you an electronic flyer. All of the expenses that we do for marketing, Chinese newspaper, Los Angeles Times, all of that. So we need to have time. So we have, December will be month 1, January will be month 3, and February will be month 3. So 90 days. So today is the 15th of November. You could always put the 15th of here. I always love to do. I say, no, 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 no. Let me give it until the end of the month, right? So I always put the end of the month so I catch up couple of extra days, right? So it's 3 months. We start today, and you give me, December, January, February, right? And then I use that until the end of the month. I usually try to do that. The property is located in Bartlett and Rosemead and Los Angeles County. And then the parcel number, of course, you grab this from Real List. You get it from your title company, 000 dash 001 dash 011, whatever that happens to be, the assessor's parcel number or the tax ID. In some places they use that. And it says, is this property a mobile home? No, right? If this house was a mobile home, then you click here, right? And then it goes and gets you a new form, and you need to go and fill in this form, right? So just for you to see it, when you go back to your list of properties, to your menu, at the bottom of it, they already added the manufactured home addendum, right? So this one, if you're selling a manufactured home, you would need to attach this branch to your listing. And he talks about the properties on a lease, and it describes the park. Some of them have licenses, HUD licenses, serial number, because it can be moved. Can you imagine you buy this and tomorrow somebody moves it? And it also talks about the space. It's on space, 1120, 112, and the park name is mobile home, mobile whatever, right? Mobile States, whatever. So you do that and you fill in this information, and this will be an addendum to the listing, manufactured home listing agreement. Okay, so let me go back and continue with our listing agreement. I'm just showing you some other branches of the listing agreement, right? So we go back to the listing agreement. Sorry, every time I go back, I gotta go to the beginning of the listing agreement and go through all the forms that are already attached, all the branches that are attached here. So in this case, this property, it is not a mobile home. So we will not be attaching that branch. Now, if this property was a probate, right? Look at this one. I click over here and it goes and gets me another addendum. Okay, so let me show you back. If I go back to all my forms, now I have the probate listing addendum, right? And it tells me that this is a probate listing addendum and advisory, right? And it is attached to the residential listing agreement that we dated it today, right? So you need to identify this, all the forms, all the branches that you're attaching to the contract. You identified the main tree, which is the residential listing agreement that we dated on November, blah, 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 on the property known as Bartlett, blah, 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 on seller, Sally, and Coldwell Banker George Realty is the broker, right? So that's the identification of the property. And then it tells if the property is part of a probate, a conservatorship, or a guardianship. Usually a guardianship is with a minor if it is a person less than 18 years of age, or if the property is part of a probate state, or a conservatorship is somebody that is incapacitated, right? Now, if the listing period shall be shorter of 90 days. Okay, so on a probate, you cannot take a 6 months listing, okay? By law, it's a 90-day listing. Sometimes you require court confirmation, sometimes you do not require court confirmation, right? So some of this information will be given to the MLS. So you gotta follow the rules of the probate court. And then there is a probate advisory that comes attached with the addendums, right? So remember, the probate advisory talks about the exemptions. Of course, the seller is dead, so the seller cannot file a transfer disclosure statement, right? They're exempt from it. Earthquake guides, they're exempt. But Coldwell Banker George Realty always requires the receipt of the booklet from the buyer, okay? It doesn't matter whether the property is exempt or not from any earthquake hazards, the questionnaire, whether the property has been braced by the water heater, all those other things. No, but we always like to get a receipt because we lived in California, which is a consumer state. They favor the consumer, the buyer. And we want to be protected, that we gave the buyer all of this bunch of disclosures and advisories so they don't come back and sue us, okay? So water heater is not exempt, okay? Lead base, it's a federal, it's not exempt, even if it's a probate, right? Carbon monoxide, not exempt. Database disclosure, not exempt. Tax withholding is not exempt. So we tell the owner, and then the broker is not exempt from providing an AVID. So you do have to have that, right? And then take other considerations. So we give this to the heirs. Whoever is signing on behalf of that probate needs to sign the listing addendum, and all of our forms, okay? So make sure that you do follow all those forms that are on a probate. So let me go back to my listing agreement, all right? So this one is an expanded. Let me just make it again a full screen. Let me go back to the listing. We're just on page number 1 of the listing, and we're either attaching branches or cutting branches from our transaction, okay? Our transaction is always the tree, and we put those those other addendums to the transaction. So we determined that this Sally is still alive, so it is not a probate. So we don't check the boxes. Then we come up with the price, and we're going to sell this property for $650,000. We would like to get multiple offers, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and Rosemead. So somewhere around that price. And we come to where we get paid. How do we get paid? We get paid. The amount of rate of the commission is not fixed by law. So never says that is fixed by law. It says, my broker like to charge 6%, right? You have to say the company, full service, real estate company. We do all the marketing. We protect you. We sell the property for the most money. We know how to handle all the paperwork. We're going to deliver your check. You do your 21 points of representing the seller. Therefore, you are entitled to good money. And you can always ask the seller, you want the most money for your property, Mr. Seller, right? They say, yes. You want me to sell the property for you? If they say yes, then you want to pay me what's fair, right? Yes. And 6% is what my broker decided that is fair. Dang. Maybe they don't say yes. Maybe say, can you give me a discount? Yes. Let me give you a discount. We're going to do it for 5.5. I don't know. That's a big amount of discount. Remember, when you cut 1 point from 6, you're cutting about 20% of the money that you earn and take to your family. So be tough with your money. Don't let it go. All righty. But in a co-bank or realty, it's company policy. The agent can decide to do 5%, right? 5%, it's okay. No need to call your broker. No need to call the manager. You decide on your own. Because it's you, my company charges 6, but I'm going to do it for you. I'll give you a discount to 5. And then they're going to say, oh, but Susie from ABC Realty, she said she'll do it for less. And you can always say, oh, Susie will do it for less. Great. I wonder what kind of service will Susie give you? Is she a discounted? Sometimes you buy a product at a discounted price, you get what you pay for. And then maybe they say, okay, 5% is fine. But if they're insisting 3 times, then you can say, okay, let me call my manager. He is an angry dude. He doesn't like to cut commission. Let me see if I can cut it from my own money, from my wife's money, from my children's breakfast. So you call me, you call Lori, you call Doug, and of course we probably will say yes, take it, depending. It's a business decision between you and us and everybody. And maybe if we say yes to a 4%, tell the client that, oh yeah, my manager was mad, and he doesn't want to do it because he believes that if you pay less people are gonna come to your house. Maybe less marketing may happen. Who knows? You can, a lot of arguments. You need to learn how to sell your percentage. Okay, so for the case, we're gonna be doing 5%, and we click the box. In some cases, you may agree to a flat amount of money, right? We're gonna sell your house for $50,000. Right? You can put that, you erase the 5%, and I'm gonna sell your property for $50,000. Anything below $1 million, my fee is 50,000. If it's higher than $1 million to 2, it's gonna be 100,000. I don't know, whatever amount it fits your criteria, right? So for the case that we're studying right now, it's 5%. Now, it is already pre-printed, okay? And I have, in all my years, in all my 30 years of being in the real estate business, I have never seen anybody going after the seller because you do need to have certain steps, okay? But this is, if within 180 calendar days after the end of the listing period, so it has to be 6 months, within 6 months after February the 28th, right? Or any extension, right? The seller gets into a contract to sell, convey, lease, even if they lease the house or transfer the property to anyone, right? Or that person related entity who physically entered and was shown the property during the listing period, or any extension by the broker or a cooperating broker, right? For whom the broker or any cooperating broker submitted the seller's assigned written offer to buy this property. So in other words, what they're saying is the following: if anybody that wrote an offer, anybody that walked through the open house, anybody that saw the house shown by another broker buys this house after my listing expires, 6 months after the listing expired, Coldwell Banker George Realty and I are entitled to a commission. It's very hard because you will need to be chasing that house title for the next 6 months and see if anybody sells the house. The second thing is that you do have to make sure that you write, when the listing expires, you need to send the seller a certified letter indicating that Bob from Century 21 showed the property to Mr. and Mrs. Smith on such a day. And Peter from Short Squirrel Realty show the property and they wrote an offer on such a time, and we wrote a counter offer and nothing happened. So you have to label everybody. And then if any of those people happen to buy this property, you are entitled to it. So it is a protection clause. We always tell you that if your listing is 90 days, you could always shorten it to 90 days. And it doesn't sound that scary that the seller is tied to you in the event that you want to do it, okay? So those are the three choices: number 1, or number 2, or number 3. If without the broker's consent, the property is withdrawn from sale, conveyed, leased, rented, otherwise transferred, or made unmarketable by a voluntary act of the seller during the listing period of any extension. So technically, the seller is obligated to pay me my commission, even if he changes his mind. Of course, you could always have a good relationship with the client and they say, Caesar, we decided not to sell, and we are good faith people. And we say, that's fine, no problem. When you decide, when you change your mind, maybe next year, maybe after the pandemic, you're going to sell with me, you're going to give me the listing. So in order not to have these antagonistic, belligerent relationships, we let them go without them paying us. You might even say, okay, we're going to cancel the listing, but I've spent a lot of money. My company spent a lot of money. So on the cancellation of the listing, you will have to collect some money. Usually we don't do that, but those are options. Whenever somebody doesn't want to sell, what we do at Coldwell Banker George Realty, what is our standard of practice, is that we withdraw from the MLS, we take the sign down, and the seller decide not to sell, no problem. We withdraw from market. But the listing agreement is still valid. So if they decide to sell to somebody, then yes, we do have the right to collect our commission, the right to go in and sue them for our money. I leave it up to you. You can think all you want on that one, right? So this one will be, right, 3A. We also get commission if completion of the sale is prevented, right? If the buyer cancel, and if the seller collects any money, if the seller sues, right, the buyer, or if the seller collects the liquidated damage clause, we are entitled to 1/2 of those damages recovered. We very seldom do. You know, we want to keep good relationship with the people, but it is written on the contract. It's in black and white. And if we wanted to go and collect half of whatever is in the deposit, then we will do that. Now, right here, all of our templates, when you come up with a purchase agreement, it's already have the pre-printed, right? And it says, in addition, the seller has agreed to pay our broker $295 for Coldwell Banker George Realty documentation compliance fee. There's nothing about transaction management. There's nothing about transaction coordinator. This fee is a document compliance fee. Is for us to be able to have SkySlope, digital signature, broker version. This is just a fee that we charge. In the past, we used to waive it, and we did. If the commission over here was 6%, we have no problem in erasing this, right? You can go ahead and say, you know, we will not charge you the $295 if you pay me that. But since we discount commission, we have no choice but to charge you a management fee, a document compliance fee, make sure that the DRE can check our files. We also store electronically these files for up to 5 years, okay? The law says 3 years, we store them for 5 years. If you need anything within the next 5 years from your file, we can electronically retrieve it and give you a copy at no charge, right? So D, seller has been advised by the broker regarding cooperating with the amount of compensation offered to other brokers. This is that we are gonna share the commission that he's paying us with members of the multiple listing service. And you have to click the box and put the amount that you are going to pay. If we are collecting 5, we will give back 2.5 to the other party. We, the listing agents, spend the most money. I have seen cases where if the commission is here 5, they decide they're gonna give 2 to the selling company. It is okay with me. It may or may not be okay with you. That's up to you. But I've seen where agents in the company collect 7% here, right? And they go ahead and they give 3% here to the other agent. And that is okay with me, right? And it's okay with the company. You get to keep 4. But since we are doing 5, I'm old school, and all the time, if I collect 5, I give 2.5 to the other agent. If I collect, 5.5, I put, 275, whatever happens to be half of whatever I'm collecting, okay? Broker is authorized to cooperate with other agents and given 2.5 of the purchase price, right? Now, broker is authorized to cooperate with and compensate brokers outside of the MLS as per broker policy. So if we get somebody from Eureka that does not belong to CRMLS, and they call me and they say, Cesar, I'd like to write up an offer on your listing on Bartlett. Are you cooperating with brokers? By law, I have to cooperate with brokers, but that doesn't mean that I have to give them my commission. So I will say, yes, if you're coming from Eureka, I'm gonna give you a 1%. It's up to you. You're not a member of my board of realtors, therefore I'm gonna give you less commission. That's up to you. So that is in our contract. It is to our discretion, right? Now, the seller makes representation to us. It says seller represent that the seller has not previously entered into a listing agreement with another broker regarding the property, unless it's specified as follows. And this is when the sellers, your listing expire and they're listing with somebody else. Over here, the seller has to say, my previous broker gave me a letter with a whole bunch of names that if they buy the property, they're entitled to the commission and you're not. Ha! That may happen, but since nobody does this, I have never seen it in a real practice. So in the street, it doesn't happen. In the paper, it's there. Seller warrant that the seller has no obligation to pay commission to any other broker regarding the property unless the property is transferred to any of the following individuals or entities. So here, and you can say, see letter from previous broker. And then that's when they're gonna list Susie Q from ABC Realty and Betty Bayer that came in and wrote an offer, right? So if that is not here, it doesn't matter. It's just a piece of paper, right? So if you go to page number 2, this is where we have to talk about the items that are included and excluded, right? So here you can say, hey, the refrigerator, I don't want to sell my refrigerator. I don't want to sell the stove. I don't want to sell anything. So exclude it right here. If it's not written right here, and make sure that if you write it here, you better put it on the MLS that you're excluding certain things. Because if you exclude it here and you fail to put it on the MLS, then you're going to be end up buying something and replacing it with your own money, right? And the company is not going to share with you. I'm letting you know that, right? Because it was your inability to keep your transaction correctly, right? Now, additional items that are included. If you wanted to say, hey, the dining table is too heavy, I'm not going to take it with me. It was built inside the dining room. The dining table cannot get out of this house. It's a humongous. We built in this China set, cannot get it out. It's bigger than the doors. So you can include it in the sales price. Put it in there. It's up to you, whatever you want to include. Number B, very careful, guys. I don't want to have lawsuits about alarm systems, solar panels, tanks. If you are in Bakersfield, a lot of people don't have gas lines like we do over here. They have a tank outside the house. So they have to have a gas tank outside the house. And usually that does not belong to the seller, maybe belong to the gas company that services that neighborhood, right? Sometimes you have the Cooligan men serving the water softener in some places. Guys, this is serious business. Solar power costs money. Alarm system, sometimes it belongs to the ADT company and they're only charging the monthly fees. And then they're gonna go, I'm here to collect my alarm system and all the electronic and all of the, smart cameras and devices. Oops, you're in trouble. On other places, those people that call you that you qualify for, solar and you qualify for weather stripping and new windows, sometimes they put a lien and they give you like a hero loan or all those stupid loans that people get for home improvements, heating, ventilation. I mean, I sold a house that the guy was up to here with $25,000 loan or a lien against the house, and he only changed like 5 windows and 1 central air conditioning, and they give him a loan. He didn't put no money down, and the property had that lien against it. So be careful with those people offering you government credits and all that other stuff. Don't be dumb yourselves, and tell your clients not to be dumb about signing all those loans and improvements sometimes, because at the time of closing of escrow, it's gonna come up and either they buy it, they have to pay, because the buyer is not gonna pay $25,000 for an air conditioner that you can go to Home Depot and buy it for $5,000, okay? So be smart about it. Number 5, he talks about the MLS, and we explain to the sellers what the multiple listing service is. Don't just go, I'm going to put it on the MLS. A lot of people don't know what the MLS is. It could be multiple sclerosis. I have no idea. It's multiple listing service. Explain that is a cooperative of other brokers. I'm going to put your property, and 90,000 brokers in the state of California are going to see your property. 90,000 brokers are going to see your property. So I'm going to market your property to other brokers, right? And then you explain the information that you're going to put to the MLS, and you say, we're going to get to the form. It's an MLS input form. And the better you fill out the form, not just the required field, but everything, you're going to be better off representing your seller. You also let them know that we belong to CRMLS, the multiple listing service. Of course, you could always do like this, right? CR, multiple listing service, are there, but we put it all the whole together, right? So, California Regional Multiple Listing Service, that's the name of it, right? So you have it, California Regional Multiple Listing Service, that's the one we believe in. Now, in the event that you belong to another multiple listing service on your own, or I'm going to put it in the New York multiple listing service, you happen to have a license in New York and you work for a Coldwell Banker in New York over there, then you can say, I'm going to put you in the other MLS, right? New York MLS now. If it is not your primary MLS for that geographic area, what happened is that sometimes, like Big Bear has their own MLS system, and CRMLS is not the primary multiple listing service for that area. So make sure that you do check the box. And sometimes you will have to list it in that MLS. And the seller may say, hey, if you don't list it among the brokers in this area, how are you going to market it? Okay, so that's one of the questions for another day. And of course, because a lot of people want to use pocket listings, crazy people, they decided that we are going to tell the sellers what are the benefits of using the MLS and what's the impact of keeping the property outside the MLS. Okay, so this is just to explain to sellers, to explain to the consumers that they will get more people, your property is going to be exposed. And then the seller initial here that they read this box, and then the brokers or the agents initial. I see about 60% of all the listing that comes to the company. You guys are failing to initial here. Please don't do that. Initial where you're supposed to initial. Don't miss all these initials. Agents initials right there that you explain that to the seller. Number 7, the property is going to be publicly marketed, right? This is, it has to do with coming soon. For those of you that have not read the rules, they're very complicated. Please don't, I want to put a property coming soon and all this other. The property needs to be in the MLS within 1 business day of any public marketing. Some people believe that if they take the listing and they start marketing to their own customers, you're not violating. Yes, you are violating the rule. So please, if you take a listing today, next business day, you better turn that listing and all the paperwork to the broker. Otherwise, we will be in violation of MLS rules, and they're very expensive. And they have hired an attorney company to follow all of these violations. Then MLS is not doing it themselves. So they have a hungry attorney that wants the money. So they are like sharks at watching the MLS. So please don't get into trouble. Take the listing, fill out all the paperwork, take the pictures and turn in the listing to us, and we will be out of trouble. Right? So make sure that you see the coming soon. What happened when you put listings on the coming soon, and the seller have to give you that permission, right? Seller does not authorize the broker to use the coming soon status, because you are already, some people see the sign coming soon, you start marketing it, somebody knows that, and then they can file a complaint against you. So please, if you are going to use this type of marketing, you better clear it out with your manager and explain the days, exactly what you're doing, so that way we know. So the listing has to be in the office anyway to do that. Okay, in the event that you're not going to put the property in the MLS, you need to get a form called, exclusion from the listing, in the area. CRMLS has also a form that they want you to turn in the listing to CRMLS and then send the form together, and then it will not be published. So because it's not published, the days on the market is not counting. It is very complicated, all that stuff. So it's not even worth it to follow it, right? In the event that the seller says, Cesar, I'm not ready, my movers are coming, I'm gonna stage the house, you can do this. Broker, the seller gives instructions to the broker to market the property, and we want to start on November the 23rd. Yes, you can do that, but watch out, don't be soliciting buyers for that transaction. Okay, now the seller can tell you, please do not, I am a movie star, I don't want people bothering me, I want you to sell it just to your own people or whatever. Seller instruct the broker not to market the property to the public. This is going to be private offer. My house is in Beverly Hills. I only want Denzel Washington to take a look at the property, or I would just want movie stars and high individuals. I want you to give it to the Lakers because they got money. They want their championship and they got money and they'll be buying houses throughout Beverly Hills. So you can do that if you are in those type of mansions, okay? But if it's your regular Arcadia, Temple City, $2 million house, it's a normal person in California, okay? So if this is selected, then you have to fill this information. If 7D or 7D is selected, the seller understand and agree that should any public marketing of the property while the property is listing will be submitted to the MLS within 1 business day. And then this clear cooperation policy does not apply. So you're going to be doing all kinds of exclusions, right? So the broker shall disclose to the seller what this means, right? So you need to disclose to the seller. But most of the time, we want to list the property and the seller wants to list the property with us because we are going to expose it to the whole world and send it to the internet. And the more people that see the house, the more price that you're going to get, unless it's a special house. Now, your MLS information is going to go to the internet. You know, some people may not want the pictures of their kids to be in the MLS. So, hey, you might say, hey, you can take pictures of my house, not to the bedrooms of my daughter. That's up to a request that you have to follow up, right? So the property is going to go into the MLS. It's going to go into the internet, right? They can opt out. They have to give you the form, right? Also, if that you click the box, the seller is opting out from internet features. Those are the automatic estimated value. People like Zillow, Trulia, I don't know if Redfin sometimes in some areas qualified as a broker, and in sometimes they qualify just as a marketing company. So if the seller doesn't want to have automated that, the seller have to check it here. But most sellers don't understand what that means, so you don't check it. The seller is representing that they are the owners. They are the power to sell the property. They are not aware of any default, that they have no delinquent taxes, that they have no delinquent property. They're not filing bankruptcy. They're not insolvent. So they're telling us that in the event that they become aware of any of these things, that they will let us know, okay? So they represent, they're free to sell. Their owners are free to sell. Now, number 10 is your job, broker's duties. What is your job to do it, right? Broker and agent exercise reasonable effort. That means putting open houses, putting advertising. Those are reasonable efforts. Nothing here says that I'm going to have 3 open houses or that I'm going to send 100 mail outs. It is up to us. Reasonable. I'm going to call 300 people on the first day. You're not telling that to the seller, but I think you should call 300 people around your listing if you have a listing, right? And also it says here that the broker agreed to present all offers that are received and present them to the seller as soon as possible. Do not hold offers in your hand. If you receive an offer from another agent, be honest with yourself, be honest with the seller, present the offer, get a yes, a no, or a counter offer. Sometimes we real estate agents are our worst enemies. One transaction, we make it sound like if it's too much, get it over with and go to transaction number 2 and transaction number 3. Don't be, oh, I gotta write up a counter offer. If you gotta write a counter offer, sit down on your computer, write a counter offer and send it immediately. Don't play this game. It doesn't help anybody, right? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the seller. Remember that your job is to fair dealings, utmost care, integrity, loyalty. That's what you make them sign. So be loyal to them. You know, use your honesty, due diligence immediately. Get it over with and go to the next transaction, right? Investigations and reports. Some cases we want the seller to do a termite inspection or do a home inspection. In some parts of California, they do a home inspection and then the seller goes and fix the problems already and then tells the buyer, here's the home inspection copy and here's the receipt of the people that repair everything there. Does it happen? Yes, it happens in Northern California in some sections of the state. If I'm going to be getting owners association documents, I can order them right away at the time of the listing, okay? Deposit, broker is authorized to accept and hold on seller's behalf any deposits to be applied toward the purchase price. Even though the seller is giving us that permission, we don't do it at Coldwell Banker George Realty. We don't take deposits. The buyer, when they write the offer, they send the money to escrow by check, by cashier check, by wire. We, Coldwell Banker George Realty agents, should not take money, checks of any kind. Please stay away from that. That will get us into trouble with the Department of Real Estate if we don't handle the money correctly. And a paper, a check is a negotiable instrument. And in order, the DRE, that's money. So please don't touch checks that do not belong to you. Thank you. That was an advertising. Agency relationship, we already gave them. Click the box. So that's a branch. Seller represent, buyer and seller represent in any resulting transaction. Paragraph 3F, right? So those are seller's representation. There is a possibility of dual agency with the buyer, right? So we already got the proper form on it. The confirmation of agency. We will be confirming on the purchase agreement prior to the execution of the purchase agreement. We will confirm whether we are the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, or a dual agent. Make sure that you put your license, the other agent's license, and you check all the boxes. Please don't leave the boxes unchecked. If you do, we will have to make you do another form, and I hate forms. I don't like forms. When I got into this business, 3 pages, that's it. Purchase agreement, that's it. No more. Now it's like 100 pages, and I have to review them all, so I don't like forms. Now here, you tell the seller that they keep their insurance, right? They gotta have, if they have audio or video, make sure that you have like a little message that says you're being videotaped, right? So make sure that you have those proper signs and that you follow the California law. Photograph, very important. You take the photo or you hire a photographer. Never use the previous agent's photos. Do not use Google Photos. Do not use any photo that is not yours. Photographers have the right for photography. Copyright law protects people that make movies, people that make songs. Copyright law is very serious in the United States of America, and you can go to jail and they can put you a big fine and you have to pay. So please, if you take it with your own cell phone, hire with your own camera, or hire a photographer, and make sure that the photographer gives you a receipt when you pay that you own the photos, okay? There is a permission to put a lockbox. That's up to you. I will put a lockbox. Now you can put timing, you can put codes. They're electronic. You can explain the sellers that only Mondays and Tuesdays, the lockbox is gonna be locked at 9 o'clock, whatever. Learn how to use your lockbox, and that way you can convince the sellers to put a lockbox. In the event the seller says, no, I like to be here for the appointment, then you click the box that says, do not authorize the broker to put a lockbox. The sign, the same thing. We put a professional sign, but in the event that the seller says, I want to sell it in secrecy, does not authorize the broker to put a for sale sign. I believe that if a seller tells you that they don't want a for sale sign, they are crazy, okay? Because everybody's going to notice, right? People are going to drive by. The neighbors are going to know that it's for sale. So they're fooling themselves. If they say no sign, they're not committed to the price. They're not motivated to sell their property, okay? Once again, equal housing opportunity. We do not discriminate. Of course, attorney's fees, right? Attorneys make these forms and they want to make sure that if they get involved in a transaction and if they win the case, they get paid reasonable. In my opinion, some of the attorney's fees are unreasonable, but they think that our 6% is unreasonable anyway, because they charge, $500 an hour and we charge, $20,000 for a commission. So they think that our fees are unreasonable. Their fees are reasonable, and we sometimes disagree with attorneys. All righty. Additional terms. If this was an REO listing, you click over here, another branch, another form. If this is a short sale, another branch, another form. If this is a trust advisory, another branch, another form, right? So if you are selling this property and you are going to be buying another property and you're using the money from this house to buy the other one, you are going to tell seller intend to include a contingency to purchase a replacement as part of the resulting transaction. So you click over here, and then when an offer comes in, you're supposed to send a counter offer with the form that says that this transaction is contingent upon the seller finding another property. And that will be another day that we will be teaching those contingencies, okay? So stay tuned. I appreciate you coming to this training. By the way, wanna let you know again, all these trainings are being recorded and they're being placed on YouTube. If you want to know, you can always go to YouTube from any computer anywhere in the world. And you can put Coldwell Banker George Realty Training, and then you're going to see a couple of Coldwell Bankers, and then you click on the logo, Coldwell Banker George Realty logo, and you'll be able to watch this training. On this one is also management approval. Let's say that one of you decide to take a listing for 1% or do like Rudy does, and he takes a listing for 1% and you bring it to the office and I say, I'm sorry, Marcos, you cannot take a listing for 1%. You're out of line. You have to take them for 6 or I don't accept it. So the broker, the manager has permission to cancel your listing and send it back and say, hey, your listing is not approved. Or if you bring me a $10 million listing in Rosemead for a single family home right off of Garvey, I am going to tell you, you're crazy. Nothing single family home along Garvey is worth $10 million. So we, Coldwell Banker George Realty, will reject your overpriced listing. Okay, so that's what this management approval has a button there. In the event that the seller dies in the listing as successors, or you can assign it, this agreement shall be binding upon the seller's successors, okay, right? If you have a dispute, if we have a fight between the seller and Coldwell Banker George Realty, we agreed to mediate. So we will call a mediation. We will hire whoever is upset and they want to pay for the mediator, they'll bring it in and then bring a mediation, right? So you can go and hire your own mediator. If this, we don't sign an arbitration, but it says if the sellers and the broker desire to resolve any disputes arising between them through arbitration rather than court, they can document their agreement by attaching and signing an arbitration agreement, right? So the listing is we either mediate or go to court. That's how this listing goes, right? The next thing is that this entire agreement is in writing. We're not making any promises, any conversation when we were on the phone. I'm going to sell the property for the most money in the shortest time with the least of inconveniences. I'm going to do open houses. I'm going to send mail outs. I'm going to do that. All of that is verbal. The contract says, I am going to sell your property. I'm going to try to sell it for this much money, and you're giving me permission to put a sign. I'm going to do what is reasonable. That's it says they're reasonable. So I'm not committing myself to, 5 signs and a balloon and anything of that nature. The contract is the contract, right? And then over here on 24, the owner is telling me, I am the seller. I have the authority. And I sign a listing agreement with them. Then 5 days later, I get a phone call from a brother that says, hey, my brother is selling a house at 123 on Bartlett, and I own the house. And you go, oops. Now you call the title company, and yes, they own it in joint tenancy. And he said, I'd like to sell it too, but I want to get my half. No problem. So that owner will have to fill in all the forms, and you got an agreement. If you get that other seller that says, I don't want you to sell this property and I want you to cancel, then you would have to call the brother number 1 and say, hey, you brother number 2 is calling me to cancel. He said he's the owner and he doesn't want to sell. So you better solve your family problems before. And at that point, your listing may be invalid because you don't have the signatures from all the sellers. okay? But at the beginning, I would take it only with one signature, take the listing. In the event that there is a representative capacity, of course, we click over here and the form for representative capacity is going to come up, and it's the RCSD will come in on the agreement. And once we have it in the agreement, we will have to have that person sign either a power of attorney, or whether he's the secretary of the corporation, or he is the heir to the throne of England, whatever it happens to be, whoever is signing on behalf of that entity, okay? And then when the seller signed here, the seller signed right here, Sally, got it. I got a contract, and if the property sells between today and February, I get paid, okay? And then Coldwell Banker George Realty will, my license, Cesar Aviles, I put my license, I date it, I sign with my ink, or I electronically sign, right? So here's the documentation that I'm going to have, okay? Before I go to questions, right? I prepare all these documents to the seller. I am going to ask for Sally to sign this document electronically, right? So what I'm going to be going is I'm gonna go to my e-signature. Of course, I don't train on this, but you can go to CAR.org and go and learn how to do digital signatures, but I'm gonna sign on e-signature. And I am going to, let me go back, so that way I have the document. So I am going to have all of these documents, right? Signed by Sally, the seller, electronically. So I am going to go, and remember that there is two signers. I sign as the agent, and Sally will sign the document. So I'm gonna click on e-signature. This is gonna be, I gotta select what forms am I gonna sign, right? So I am gonna go just with the listing agreement, just for short take. But if I wanted to have more documents, I can go here and I can select more documents from my list, okay? On this case, I'm only gonna be doing the listing agreement just for these training purposes. So I am gonna do the listing agreement, then I'm gonna go to next. My packet name is called listing agreement exclusive, but let's say that I just wanted to name it so that way it doesn't confuse me. I am gonna put Bartlett. So that way when it comes back signed, it's gonna go to that folder. So I'm gonna call it Bartlett listing. Just that way I don't get confused, right? I am gonna be using digital ink. Everybody that is a member of California Association of Realtors get digital ink included with your dues. Now, some people pay extra, okay, for DocuSign, okay? And some other people pay extra for a digital ink #2, which is authenticating, okay? So this one, we use digital ink #1, is free. No, it's included with your membership and the California Association of Realtors, okay? So next. Now, who is going to sign documentation? Is it gonna be Betty Buyer? No. Is it gonna be another buyer representative? No. Is it gonna be Caesar, the listing agent? Yes. I am gonna electronically sign my listing. And then, does Coldwell Banker have to sign? No. Does Sally needs to sign? Yes. So the only people signing this document is me as the agent and Sally the seller. In the event that I had a seller #2, you know, Sam the seller, that will be my seller #2, and I will click here. But if I click here, I don't have an email for the #2. So, I don't do that, right? So the only people that are gonna sign is gonna be Sally, right? Let me go back to select the people. I only have Caesar is signing and Sally is signing. Got it? Now, I am gonna verify the signatures right here. So I'm gonna go next. There is a training about e-signature at CAR.org. So you can go and watch the video over and over and over. You can walk through and whatever happens to be the case. You see this right here is who is signing. Caesar is signing, but if I click on the drop menu, Sally is signing, right? Or initialing. What document is it gonna be happening? Right now, I pick Caesar, right? There's two people. So the listing agreement, it's gonna be my only document that I'm gonna be signing, okay? So right now, I'm going to go for a signature. For example, I'm going to verify that all my documents are. So Sally is going to sign over here. There is a box for Sally and there's a box for Caesar. So this document is okay. I don't want this box. So Sally Seller is going to be a date and dated. So it's okay. The Fair Housing Discrimination Advisory. Caesar doesn't sign, but Sally will sign right here. If I want to move her, I can move it. I can make it a little smaller, right? I don't want a big one. And the date. I don't have Betty Buyer. Unfortunately, this one is coming with Betty Buyer, but you can always go back to your zip form. And for the Betty Buyer is coming because I added on the documentation. Okay, possible representation. I got Sally the seller, Coldwell Banker George Realty. On the wire front, everybody's gonna do that. For example, if for any reason I don't see Sally here, right? Sally doesn't sign this paper. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna click on Sally and then I'm gonna bring this signature and then I'm gonna say Sally to sign. Got it? And then the month and the day, I can always move it over here. There are trainings on this that I think every agent that is gonna be using ZipForm should already know how to do that. And you can do one document and practice. Practice with your husband, with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with a friend. I'm gonna learn electronic signature before the end of the year because the pandemic is not going away and all the business is gonna be done electronically, okay? Please don't use the word virtual. Virtual is another world. We're gonna do it on the internet. I order food through the internet. I order Christmas gift on the internet on Amazon. Don't say virtual. Virtual means like it's false, fake. No, I am doing a presentation. I'm doing an electronic presentation. We're doing an electronic training, okay? It's not virtual, it's real training. It's real life. If you were to put an initial, you could always grab an initial and put an initial over here, and Sally will be initialing here. Those are training that they give you. Or if you want Caesar to initial, you can go here, you pick Caesar, and then you bring the initial over here, and the person that is gonna initial is gonna be CA, Cesar Aviles, right? So you need to learn that. Now that I'm reviewing that Sally is gonna be signing, I do all the paperwork. The initials go right here. If I want to make them smaller, I want to move them and make them looking nice, then you can certainly do that on every document. Caesar is going to initial over here. Sally is going to initial over here. So once I check that all my documents are okay, the initials are in the right place, signatures are in the right place. Oh, let me move it a little bit over here. And all the documents are in, I'm gonna put send, okay? Send. If I click on the send button, remember that I have the wrong email for Sally. But this is what's gonna happen. If I put send, it's gonna be titled Listing Agreement Bartlett. And it says, this is Caesar from Coldwell Banker. I'm using digital ink to sign all the documents. Thank you, right? You could also type over here and say, thank you for giving me your listing. I appreciate the opportunity of servicing you. If you have any trouble, just call my manager. Don't bug me. Call Peter, right? You can say that here. And then you hit the send button, and this is going to be sent to me as the agent, and it's going to be sent to the customer. I am first, so I will be signing it first. If I would have changed the order and I put Sally to be the first person, the contract will go to Sally first and then I'll sign it. But that is not nice. You sign it first, and once you send it to them, it's already got your signature. Once they sign it, they have a copy. They can print a copy with both signatures. Okay, in this case, I am going to cancel. I am going to go back because I'm not going to be, you're about to digit. Do you want to save the changes? No, I'm going back. I'm going back. I'm back into my transaction. I'm going back. I'm back to the transactions and all the other forms that I want to sign. I want to go back to my listing, right? And I'm out of here. Anybody has any questions before I go to the next introduction that I wanted to do? I have an announcement to make. So I'm going to stop sharing for the time being. I hope I did not put you to sleep. Anybody has a question? Unmute yourselves if you want to speak, okay?
The other day I had that we had that training on this signature, that 1 and 2. I thought the guy said that number 2 was also included, that was free. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know then. I thought you pay for it. So double check. I knew that digital ink number 1 is free or included with your CAR dues. If signature 2, what happened is that sometimes they ask you for validation or security, and then they charge you $5 for making sure that if in the event that something were to happen, they can give you a certificate that it was really signed. It's kind of like an insurance.
Yeah, he was saying something that 2 will replace 1.
Yeah, so it's up to you. Anything else? Okay. What I wanted to do is the following. I mean, on the chat room, I've been working on this for a couple of months, and then I finally got it. This is because we're going on the virtual world. I mean, I do not know when we're gonna, stop using this mask, and when the corona, it's all over the world and all over the United States. So I just want to make sure that you guys take care of yourselves, wash your hands, do whatever the government tells you, CDC. It's up to you, not up to me. And I just have to repeat this for liability for the company anyway, and you do whatever you think is best for you. But anyway, I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to this company. In the event that you wanted to get your real estate license renewed, you can go to this website and take the classes. Of course, it's not free. You are getting a 30% discount or a 20% discount, depending on the time of the year, because you're a member of the Coldwell Banker family. That's how these people sign. But what I wanted to show you is that there are classes, there are trainings, and there are other things for people that are already in the business. There are videos that you can watch with pertaining information about real estate and how to grow your business, how to work with for sale by owners, how to work with this in a very nice little video. So I am going to go there, and I'm going to share my screen. If you have any question, if you cannot see my screen, just let me know, okay? But I'm going to go back there. I'm going to go to a blank internet. Oops, let me just go here. I'm going to go to a new internet tab. I am going to put, the website is CBGR, the CES shop, the continuing education shop.com. Okay. When you land there, of course, I'm going to be sending the links to all of you by email or whatever. And this one, you see the Coldwell Banker logo there, and it will give you information about getting your license. If you want to get a license in Illinois, go be my guest. The reason why we sign up with this company is because they're big. They're all over the United States. They're in Indiana, Kansas, or California. If you want to get your license, if you have a friend, a relative, anybody, you can send them to this website. You can give them the link, and they can register for free. You log in for free. Anybody from Coldwell Banker George Realty, log in for free. If you wanted to take the classes, you have to buy the classes. They're different prices, okay? So this one is for exam preparation. So if you're gonna do a crash course, you can do this one and do your exam preparation. If you are already got a license in California, post-licensing, you already, somebody like you that wanted to take some other classes, you're welcome to do that, the post-licensing. If you wanted to take continuing education right here, continuing education for the state of California, you can certainly do that. Or if you want to upgrade your license, for those of you that want to get a broker license and you want to do that, you can click over here and you will be getting all the information about getting a broker license. So if I click on California, let me make big my screen. I hope everybody's watching the screen.
Caesar, we can see a screen.
Can you? Cannot.
It's right now we only see the what is it, zip forms.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let me go back to sharing my screen. Let me maybe turn off the zip form issue. Can you see that one?
Right now, yeah, the CE shop.
Okay, so the CE shop, what I did click was the upgrade your license. I click on California, and of course there is a pre-licensing for a broker. You need to take so many hours, you know, for the broker, and you need 135 hours, the classes or whatever, and it costs $100 to go take the classes. If you wanted to buy it, you can click over here, add it to your cart, and you purchase those classes, okay? That's up to you. This is not what I'm telling you to do, but I just want to show you what the CE shop does with Coldwell Banker. Now, over here, all I want you to do is you go to the login. Get your login by registering, right? You register, create an account for free, no charge. And once you create an account, they have a 24 hours. And that's one of the things that I like it. You can chat with them or whatever. But what I wanted to do, after you create an account and you log in, and even if you don't log in, you can go to Agents Essentials, and there is a getting started. Grow your business. So if you're a newer agent and you want to, from the beginning, go back to basics, you can click on Get Started. And when you get on Click Started, there are videos over here. What's the difference between residential and commercial agents? And you can watch the video. And let me say no thank you to the chat person right there. Oh, the difference between brokers, real estate agents, and brokers. I'm pretty sure that you already know a lot of this information, but there are information, blogs, independence as an agent, tips for starting your career. So some of the time we forget that when we were brand new real estate agent, my goodness, I forgot to start my own list of clients. So this one, they give you tips to start in your real estate career. I guess it will take you to a video and you can watch the video. Are you on that screen, Clint?
Yeah, the screen is okay.
All righty, beautiful. So I don't know if I click over here, it's probably a YouTube video. If I click on the video, it's a couple of minutes video, 3-minute video. And I don't know if I can share the noise, but it's the music. And it's a video, right? Lead generation, and it gives you information about this. It gives you information about that. So you go back to Agents Essential, grow your business. I should stop this video, right? Whatever. Grow your business. Everybody, some of you are already on a slump. Of course, coronavirus bring you a slump. I'm not selling. I need to adjust. What the hell am I going to be doing? So working with first-time buyers, there's a video there. Growing your business. I mean, if you want to use social media, there is information about social media. How to create real estate websites. If you wanted to see samples, it's up to you. I don't get involved in that. These people, I don't think that they do websites for agents. How to real estate agent become residential property managers. I wouldn't suggest you do that. It's very difficult. We don't do this. So, but there are, if you wanted to quit George Realty and go work for a management company, that's up to you. I mean, you're going to be dealing with tenants, toilets, and trash. But that's part of the business. You know, recruitment this is for brokers, but they have so much information here about real estate that I just wanted to show you. You know, fair housing, equal housing opportunity, all tips, prospecting for sale by owner listing. Okay, so there is a lot of education information here that I am letting you know. Videos, you can go see all the videos that they have available on growing your business, right? There's videos galore, several pages of it. Everything is going to be on Agent Essentials. But you could also go here, marketing and advertising. At least they're going to teach you something, marketing and advertising, right? A real estate agent guide to creating marketable content. It's up to you if you wanted to grow your business, you have to be involved in your business. And I thought that this was a good addition to the benefits that Coldwell Banker Church Realty have for you. So if you want to get in it, free, no charge if you don't buy a class. There are classes for getting licensed, getting broker license in all the 50 states. It's up to you. But what I'm concerned and I like to give you is free. The Grow Your Business, Getting Started, Hot Topics, Industry News. If you go here, right, or technology, you want to learn a little bit of technology, click over here and you get a little video about technology and it would help you because it's real estate related, okay? And so the website is www.cbgr.thecesshop.com, and you get to all of this at no charge to you. You log in, you create your account. If you wanted to take renewal classes, you're welcome to do so. You will see from time to time flyers about the CE shop. You're welcome to do that. If you want to do continuing education, you can do continuing education just for you to learn, you know, renewals, subsequent renewals. If you want to take the NAR class, so they're the courses, they charge you $35. These are Coldwell Banker cheap prices, $19 for an agency class, $19. So if you wanted to take these classes, it's up to you. You add them to your cart. You can, it's whatever you want. I don't want to force anybody. I just want to expose you to this. If you're interested, you can get your code, put the code 30% off. You say these things come for Coldwell Banker discounts agents, okay? So or that's the way they explain to me. So let me stop sharing. I'm opening for questions. Anybody has any questions?
Well, Cesar, were you able to send us the link for that for C Sharp?
Oh yes. I'll email it to everybody, whether you came to the class or not. I'll send you a flyer, and you will be able to visit that. And apparently the week of the 23rd is our official launch, and they're saying that they will give 40% off on the classes. I told them that I don't care about. I mean, technically, I don't care about that, but 40% off. If you need to take your classes, you can take your classes and buy them. But that's not what I wanted to use. Was the agent essentials. That's the part that I like, and all the videos that will teach you how to run your farm area, or there are stuff of that nature in there. If you wanted to learn, it's a great videos, non-threatening, non-pushing. If you don't like Mike Ferry because he said go call, and if you want to learn this way, the soft way, this is the little soft way, kindergarten, elementary school real estate classes, okay? But I want to expose you. Maybe some of us need to start that way until we become very strong. I leave it up to you, okay?
Thank you, Cesar. One more question. You can use that to also do a renew license in that website, right?
That
renew
you
license?
can take, yes, you can take the required continuing education classes as well.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any concerns? I just want to remind you guys that no matter what, I mean, the coronavirus is here to stay. I mean, we've lived with cancer, we live with AIDS, we have lived with the flu, we have lived, it's not going away. I mean, you think that just because they're going to have a vaccine doesn't mean that everybody's going to be immune to it. I mean, it's one of the diseases of the world. It just happened to come in the 21st century on the year 2020. I don't see this as a normal mortal. Get with it, get over it, get out of your house and protect yourself, wash your hands. You know, don't be on congregated people, but you can go one-on-one. You start calling people, texting people, video people. You know, everybody should have your Zoom account. That is free. If you wanted to have extra time and all the other whistles, of course you can buy, you know, the college Zoom accounts, but that's not what we're doing here. Because the real estate business, there are already agents taking listings and making sales without even looking at the client, okay? Everything is online. online shopping, online, I mean, Macy.com, Walmart, online. I don't know who, but, oh, no problem. My pleasure, Shirley. www.cbgr, Coldwell Banker George Realty, THECESHOP.com. And you can give that website to anybody, right? I did it privately to iPhone, so hold on a second. Let me just copy it again, and then let me put it back to everybody. Everybody in the meeting, paste, enter. Everybody on the chat box. If you go down to on your screen and you click on the chat, you will get the chat box, and the website is there. And you can give it to friends, family, neighbors that want to become real estate agents. They can go to the training classes there, because we used to have a real estate school here every Tuesday with Kartik. Some of you might have gone to Kartik's classes. He does not offer continuing education, only for new agents classes to get your license. This outfit online offer both three. The pre-licensing for new agents, the renewals for everybody like us, and then if you want to become a broker, they have broker classes there, and you can become a broker and open your own shop, whatever you want to do. Okay. What else? What else? Okay, guys, it's 11:48. I like to be respectful of your time, your schedule, my schedule. I'm always busy, but I'm always available. If you call me, if you email me, the best way to communicate with me is through email when it is a simple question. If you have a big case, something that needs it, you can call me and I'll try to solve the problem to the best of my ability. Anything else? Don't forget to reach out to Lori, to Doug, to Tuhan, to Anna. We are here to help you. Lee, Jenny, Becky, Joan, we are here for you. We want you to be successful. If you guys make money, the company makes money, and we continue to be in business. Other than that, I hear no questions. Everybody an expert at listing. So everybody's oh, by the way, I got news. Coldwell Banker George Realty Arcadia is doing a listing contest. Coldwell Banker George Realty Alhambra is doing a listing contest. I don't know if Lori is doing it over there. It is money prices. It's gonna run for 2 months. So starting December the 1st, all the way to January 31st. December and January, 2 months combined. The people with the most listings, the person with the most listings will get a cash award. The people with the largest listing, if you take a $10 million listing or $3 million, if it happens to be the most expensive listings, you get another cash prize. And everybody that takes a listing will be entered into a drawing for cash. So you're gonna say, oh, I'm only gonna get one listing, they're gonna win me. Well, that one listing that you take will get you into a pool, and we're gonna draw a couple of cash prizes during the month of February. So it's counting for December and January. So we wanted to make it fun. We wanted to make it, and we'll announce who the winners are, of course. So that person can buy you lunch. All righty. No more questions. Going once. No more questions going twice. No more questions. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Monday.